Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we're here with a deep dive into the all new F1 world. Of course, one of the biggest features coming to F1 23. Now this video is going to be sort of fairly calm. As you can see, it's quite a long video, so we're just going to be sort of sitting through, chatting. I was very lucky to be invited down to Guildford a couple of days ago to actually play the game and speak to some of the team, obviously from obviously the Formula 1 game and EA, and of course, you know, they were very excited to showcase us the all-new F1 world gameplay. So I got to play for about an hour. As you can see, I've left most of that footage in today. We're going to cut it down ever so slightly. I'll leave some timestamps down below to any major things. But yeah, this is going to be, like I said, a bit of a deep dive into the new mode for F1 23. And to be honest, I think it's going to be one that a lot of you are going to like a lot. Now, quickly before we jump into this, sadly, I could only play the game on a controller, so that's why, for the eagle-eyed among you, would have noticed I put medium traction control on an ABS, just because I didn't have much time, so it was more about trying to get as much footage as I could rather than having issues racing with a controller, and pretty much immediately you're chucked into a race here from the Austrian Grand Prix there. You can see the new chicane has been implemented as well, so yeah, very cool, of course, that we, you know, obviously the chicane's not going to be used in Formula 1, but cool, you know, that they're still making these big changes to a lot of the tracks around the calendar. And of course as well, with the new F1 World gameplay, you do get some different messages. One of the big things they mentioned was Crofty and Anthony Davidson have some more different and interesting conversations with each other.
Under the watchful eye of the giant steel bull. The history of this track, the legacy of Red Bull, and the Red Bull Ring really need no introductions. Now, Anthony Davidson, take me back to when you first made your debut and give us some practical advice today for our F1 World debutant.
Well, yeah, I mean, Crofty, it can be an intimidating time, definitely rocking up for your first big event like that. But you've got to have faith in your own abilities and have faith in the practice that you've put in at this point. And, you know, I would say above anything else, just go out there and enjoy it and try to finish unscathed as well. Easier said than done when it's your first big competition. Just keep your nose clean and get through to the end. That's the best advice I can give.
So many of you might be asking immediately, you know, what is the point of F1 World? Now, of course, one of the big things that EA obviously said was that, you know, a lot of F1 players, obviously all you can really do, like we said, is either online racing or career mode. Now, a full-on career mode race, of course, even if you're just doing a 25% race with one-shot quali, that kind of thing, still going to set you back the better part of an hour. F1 World is meant to be for those of you that sort of want to get home from a day at work and just jump in and play for 15-20 minutes at a time if needed, or of course sink more hours into the game when you've got a chance as well. So it's just a different way of playing Formula 1. So you've kind of got this campaign mode, of course, where you're trying to level up the car, do upgrades to the car, which of course I'll make sure I showcase in a minute as well. But it's an all-new way to play that we have never really seen on the F1 games before. So very interesting. Like I said, obviously we spoke to the dev team, you know, that obviously were behind this, and it was about, again, you know, we've seen Formula 1 becoming more of an, you know, interactive and much more viewed experience for people. So it was kind of, how can they attract the newer audience into playing the games more, alongside, of course, still giving, you know, the veterans, you know, you or I, for example, that have been playing the game for years as well. You know, how can they still obviously be able to do what they want, but how can you have a sort of mode of the game as well that people can just jump into when they want to, of course, you know, 15-20 minutes, get a couple of upgrades on the car, do some fun challenges, and go from there. As you can see, I'm actually going to be a bit cheeky here and take the all-new chicane. That can't quite do the second half of it from the MotoGP layout, but there you go, a fun little challenge for you if you've got a big enough lead in these races. But honestly, going into it, I don't think, you know, like I said, I was there with quite a few other content creators. I'm sure you're going to see videos from them as well, kicking around over the next few days. I don't really think a lot of us quite knew exactly what it was going to be like going into it. But I think, you know, speaking to other people, we were all pleasantly surprised that it's going to be a very interesting game mode, of course. It's going to be where EA are going to be implementing, you know, weekly challenges for people, different updates, different changes. Of course, some of it you'll be able to add to your F1 career modes as well. Of course, you know, things like the custom liveries and that kind of things. But also is like its own separate entity. You know, it's somewhere where they can experiment with things. It's something where they can try new things and, of course, see what works and what doesn't, of course, for, you know, the hardcore career mode players and that kind of thing as well. And it does feature a whole host of changes that are going to make things very, very interesting, and hopefully, of course, you know, the good ones will be implemented in the future as well. As you can see, of course, we complete our first race there. Always got to pick it up with a dub. You guys know me well enough. And that, of course, is going to grant us some XP bonuses and some potential upgrades with our car. Now, the cars on F1 World start out at level 1000. Apparently, within the first couple of months of the game throughout the first season pass. Sorry, they start at level 100. And the goal will be to get them to level 1000. After that, apparently, what's going to happen is every single season pass, that level is going to get opened up even more. So, of course, the season pass lasts about 2 months. So I'm going to assume that every month, or every 2 months, sorry, it's going to open up another 200 levels of upgrades, which obviously allow you to get to level 2000 before, of course, F124 releases down the line. And they did say as well, you know, what will happen, of course, when F124 releases is that there's still going to be challenges on this game, but obviously a lot of them then are going to sort of be refreshes and recycles rather than obviously trying new things, because of course that'll be used and implemented on F124 there. So you can see picking up our first trophy from our first event as well. They're very, very happy with that one, and hopefully in a second we'll have a look at the upgrades that we've been given to, of course, hopefully try and bring our car higher than level 100, because of course that's basically going to be used as like almost like a PI scale if you've played Forza or Gran Turismo before. And of course the AI, the components are obviously, they're going to have their own levels as well, which I'll showcase further on in this video. So you can see they're gaining some podium pass XP as well, and yeah, we did have the highest level car in this first race, so of course no major surprises that we were able to win there. And you can see, yeah, some of the AI with car levels as low as like under 50 and that kind of thing. And you can see there we go, picking up some separate rewards. Of course you can choose which rewards you're after as well there, obviously whether you want to go with cash or whether you want to go with some XP there. And now you can see obviously equipping those upgrades to the car, of course, increases your tech level, as you can see marked there in the background. And of course the more events you do, the more tech level you're going to get, the quicker car you're going to get, and of course that is going to help you progress through F1 World. But obviously, like I mentioned, this is going to be a process that can really take you as little or as long a time as you want there. Of course, ranked multiplayer is also going to be heavily embedded into F1 World. You can see I try and play it. I'm not really sure why, because of course there was no one else online. The game hasn't released yet, but there is going to be a whole league system as well surrounding that, which of course will allow people to compete against other people around the world as well then. But jumping in to the all-new, obviously, upgrade system that is going to be available in the game there, you can see we have currently got the Fang Mark 1 uncommon wing on the car. They see it's split into two separate areas. You've got the vehicle and the team. So of course we've got the downforce, the gearbox, the brakes and the power unit, and then of course we've got the sponsors, the R&D head, the principal and the race strategist there, which all provide you with different perks and little things that honestly, some of them are quite Mario Kart-esque. It is very, very cool there. So you can see we've got +1 engine power and then another extra one there as well, and you can see +5% DRS efficiency. So all these upgrades do make the car quicker and quicker and quicker, and of course what you'll find then is further on down the line, obviously we actually come up against some much quicker AI that have got a high tech level in the very near future. That is then going to mean that, you know, you're going to need those upgrades very, very quickly, otherwise you're going to really struggle against the AI. Of course, that's the brilliant thing with this new game mode, of course, and this is obviously what it's quite clear that they've taken quite a lot of time behind the scenes in just trying to balance to make sure everything makes sense in that regard. Of course, we jump into our second race. Still, the average tech level on the grid is only 60 here at Silverstone. And yeah, I'll let you listen into some more of Crofty and Anthony Davidson's anecdotes.
Straddling the border of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire, the 18 corners of Silverstone Circuit form the 3.6-mile beating heart of Formula One. It's been reinvented over the years, with Turn 1 now the fast right-hander of Abbey, but the magic of racing is as strong here as it's ever been.
And jumping in then to the second race of the day, of course, we took a dominant victory in the first one. Again, you know, with our much higher tech level than the AI, we should be able to do once more in this second event there. It would be nice, this was one of the things I did say, if, like, say next to the gamer tags in the top left-hand corner of your screens there, would be nice if you got everyone's tech level as well, say next to their position or something like that, because of course they do float above each car. But obviously what you'll see in later races, of course, is when the tech levels kind of get more spread out. It can be difficult, you know, if you're trying to catch up to someone and you just aren't getting close to them. Obviously, you'd like to know what tech level they're running up in front of you as well there. But like I said, I feel like for a lot of people, you know, it depends obviously what you're into on the F1 games. Say, for example, if you like often doing career modes, then the offline tech level things, you know, trying to upgrade your car is going to be very, very cool. But also, of course, if you are a semi-competitive racer, you know, say you've got a night of the week where you play F1, but you haven't got a league, maybe you want to jump in, grind out some tech level, and then, of course, race against other people online. There is a big, big improvement and a big, big focus on the new all license levels as well on the new games. So, of course, it is going to allow people to get matched up better, of course, with people of similar to quality. And also, they're making quite a few changes that are hopefully going to improve the online racing experience as well, which, of course, I'll make sure I showcase later on in the video as well then. But Silverstone, some subtle changes to some of the curbing around this venue. You know, we are starting to see more and more tracks being even more accurately tracked now as we jump into F1 23. I can't wait to showcase some of the other circuits as well. Of course, Austria and Silverstone being the first two that we've had a good look at there. But there we go, up over the start-finish line. That is going to be our second win of the day. They're even more dominant than the first, as you would come to hope from there. And you can see as well now we're starting to get more objectives as well. Not only have we got to finish the race, but it's also giving us some target positions as well that we're looking to finish in then. So as we get ready to jump into our first official series, we'll have a quick look at some, obviously, the upgrades there. You can see picking up an uncommon front wing, which is going to finally increase our tech level there. You can see top right hand side of your screens, we're already up to level 107. So we are, you know, making some decent little progress here early on, and then we're going to equip another one to, of course, try and increase that tech level even further. So there were a couple of us that were asking, you know, how long would it sensibly take to go from tech level 100 to 1000? And of course, you know, EA were kind of saying it's going to take a while. Obviously, there will be more effective ways of doing it that I'm sure people will work out down the line, but it's not going to be an easy process. You know, it is going to be one of those things that is going to take time, but of course, you know, the AI is designed to match you, so obviously, you know, you will always end up in races with people around your tech level as well. Then having a look at sort of all the customization options very, very quickly. Honestly, feels like, you know, we're getting fairly similar to what we've seen in the previous F1 games. Sadly, due to licensing and that kind of things, you know, unless you're on PC and you can mod things in, very, very difficult for EA to really be able to do a huge amount with this kind of thing. Still, of course, you know, it's not like you can put real sponsors in and that kind of thing. Unfortunately, yeah, the licensing on that kind of thing is just an absolute nightmare. So yeah, it remains fairly unchanged in that regard. Of course, we will get new designs. Obviously, we will get different cool things as well there. As you can see, from me trying to make sure I pick the worst radio message and race suit that, you know, humankind has ever possibly come up with as well there. And you can quite clearly see I don't spend much time around that kind of thing as well, because I kept clicking the wrong buttons as well then, as we try and find as well where I can try and change up the car livery ready for our third race.
We've got more F1 World action for you today, so welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, and pick your favourite driver to follow. The drivers will be racing here at the Yas Marina circuit through 16 corners and a lap distance of around 3.28 miles. There are a few opportunities to pass with long straights and DRS zones in 2 places, so plenty of close racing, then plenty of speed and plenty of drama to be found in the laps ahead. Our drivers line up on the grid, wanting to write another chapter in their own F1 world journey. How will the story end today? Who will taste victory? We're about to find out. Anthony Davidson, here's a question for one of our drivers on the grid who seem to be operating at a lower level than some of the other drivers here. Is this too much of a challenge for them?
I mean, that's a difficult question to answer, Crofty. A lot of this sport is down to the equipment, unfortunately, but there are moments where the driver can shine through and do something magic in a car that really shouldn't be in that position. And we see it every once in a while in Formula One. So, look, it is against tall orders, but who's to say it's impossible?
Well, here we are then, diving in then to Abu Dhabi, of course, to kickstart our first championship. And what I'm going to do this time around to try and showcase a bit more around the AIs, I'm actually going to let everyone through at the start of this race, or attempt to let everyone through at the start of this one. So you can see, like I mentioned, obviously at Silverstone, you do actually get an indicator of what level everyone is. You can see a few cars at the back of the field apparently didn't want to let me by. But it would be nice if it was available on the HUD as well, of course, because you can already see, P15 even, just up the road, quite far away. So obviously I can't see what tech level they've got. So of course, yeah, like I said, further on down the video, obviously when we're jumping into some other races, it would be nice to still sort of see, potentially if you're not able to catch up to someone, like if they've got like a 30 or 40 higher tech level than you, then obviously then you'll know why there's 40 tech level. For this guy there. I must admit, some of the names for the AI as well, absolutely fantastic there. You love to see it, and a good little example of some of the more aggressive but realistic defending by the AI there. Again, don't judge the pad driving, please. Obviously, I'm not a pad driver. It's not my strong suit on the F1 games ever, so yeah, please bear with the pad driving. But anyway, you can see, coming towards the end of lap 1 though, we finally caught up to a load of extra cars. But you can see, yeah, just trying to, carve our way through there. Abu Dhabi has pretty much, I don't think, seen any major changes ready for F1 23. The first track that I don't think has, of course, but, major overhaul on F1 22. So there's not too many surprises there, of course. You've got the updated banners and that kind of thing as well there. But sadly, some of the sausage curves are all still staying the same there. As you might have just heard Mark in the background, just obviously talking as well there. Of course, you have got some different radio messages. This was one of the other things they said, of course, that Crofty and Anthony Davidson, as well as Mark, were kind of allowed to be a lot more free-flowing with it this year. They've actually got a new dialogue sort of engineer for the new game as well, that's sort of allowing the messages to be more immersive and more realistic and more open as well there. So, of course, just like obviously the way they get the commentators to record the commentary has been changed around there, of course, to provide a better experience and obviously more customizable experience for the fans as well. You can see there is quite a variation between the tech level of the AI. Of course, we are still the highest of the lot at the moment there. You can see 77 for the guy in front, 67 for the guy in front of him, so really punching above his weight. And of course, if you jump online and you are beating people with much higher tech levels than yourself, of course, you are going to be gaining more XP and that kind of thing as well there. So it is going to be more about your license level and how cleanly you're driving is going to massively affect the points. But of course, if you are beating someone that the game doesn't theoretically, of course, think you should, then you will obviously get a small bonus as well for that. It is designed still more to be fun for everyone though. Rather than, of course, a super competitive kind of grind, where you're going to have to go for the horrible dive bombs on the car in front of you late on in the day to protect your iRacing or something like that on another game that I've not had much fun with in recent weeks there. Yeah, we come on to that 3 though. DRS, of course, has now been enabled, and, one of the other things that I forgot to mention as well in recent videos, I really am a fan of the new HUD there, as, again, another great example of the AI trying to defend for all their worth. But the new UI and HUD on F1 23 there feel like it's a nice, cleaner version of obviously what we saw on F1 22. A little bit less, but sometimes less is more. And of course, you can see those 4 little dials as well below the throttle tracer and the brake tracer there, as we'll ignore that cheeky little punt there down in towards the chicane. But those are actually for your power-ups as well. So of course, like when you achieve different things in a Grand Prix, so for example, if you set fastest lap, there's some upgrades that will then allow you better engine performance for like the next minute, for example. Those will actually show up down at the bottom. I think we get a race in Baku in a moment where I'll make sure, of course, I mention that as well. So that is what those 4 little boxes are, that obviously you won't see in normal career mode, because, yeah, see, again, this is, you know, a more fun casual game mode, rather than trying to turn career mode into Mario Kart, which probably would upset a lot of people, would make for some interesting commentary. But yeah, probably not quite the way to go, of course. You know, they're trying to cater to different fans, of course, as I honestly thought this was the final lap of the race, hence why I went for a banzai attempt at the final corner there. Then remembered it was 5 laps, so we dive bombed the other guy down at turn 1. But yeah, I felt like, of course, you know, obviously playing this, like I said, for just over an hour, very, very easy to jump in, of course. You know, again, it's one of those things that coders and EA have been very, very good with, is, of course, just explaining how these things work. It's a pretty seamless experience when you jump into it as well, which, of course, is very, very important for beginners.
League of your own today, mate. Have you even broken into sweat?
A spectacular victory here in Abu Dhabi and a massive confidence boost for the entire team, I'm sure. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
And you can see that Anthony Davidson very, very happy with us and gaining even more objectives and rewards as well there. So Insight represents a discovery that will advance your R&D efforts and allow your engineers new upgrades. It's a common resource earned from most events, objectives and goals there. So you can see we're picking up more and more insight as we go, and of course picking up some other achievements and various little bits and pieces as well there. But of course, you know, constantly you're trying to go back and obviously upgrading there. You can see now we're actually going to get our first team principal. So these actually work over a few races. Obviously you can attach a contract to them rather than obviously replacing them out every single race. Of course, if you bring one in and then want to replace him, you do lose them for good. You can't just keep swapping them in and out all the time as well there. So you can see, yeah, you get a 60-second boost or 20% weight reduction if you set a fastest sector 3. So that was one of the little perks that I was talking about as well there. So very, very interesting. You can see we're going to try and add Lee onto the car as quickly as possible. So yeah, you're going to get more of those obviously as you go on, and then more DRS efficiency as well there. So various bits and pieces. You know, there are some very, very cool implementations. EA as well, I better mention this, I've made it very, very clear there is no, and I mean no, intention to bring microtransactions to this anytime in the near future, or at least the team that we spoke to said there was no plans for microtransactions. This is all just about playing and enjoying it. Of course, you can buy XP boosts, if I'm not mistaken, but they don't really, they're not required, and they won't really make a drastic change to the games. And this, then, is a look at the all-new license system. So you're going to get 4 different licenses on F1 23, D, C, B, and A. Now, basically, of course, what they're going to do is change the lobbies you're going to be running in there. So you can see if you're in D license, you're going to have no damage, no, obviously, crashes and collisions with other drivers. It is all just going to be about trying to survive. Obviously, C, I think, is no collisions on lap 1. And then, obviously, B and A, you just slowly get less and less, obviously, assists, if you will, in that regard there. So that obviously is going to be really, really important for people, of course. You know, if you're coming into the game, if you're new and you're worried about crashing into other people, you know, if you're in a D-licensed lobby, you're not going to be able to crash into other people. So it allows people to learn racing without feeling like there's too much at stake, you know, if you miss your braking point, as I don't do in this instance. Sorry, I honestly had visions of myself saying that as I plough into the back of the car in front. But of course, yeah, like I said, it's just about trying to make it more accessible for people. So of course you can jump in a D-licensed lobby, learn the tracks, race around other people, and then of course you can get better as you go on there. So now we've actually jumped into a race. I think I went with the highest tech level possible. So this is now a lobby that will have an average of 130 tech levels, so much higher than I've got. And of course you can see there, P10, splat bang in the middle of the field with 130 tech level. Top runners, if I'm not mistaken, were running closer to like 160. I'm still running 107, so this is going to become quite a big challenge very, very quickly there. 5-lap races this time round, though, is going to give us a bit more time, of course, to try and close up to the front runners. But what you're very, very going to quickly find now, of course, is the tech level balancing, I found, was absolutely brilliant. Of course, I would have had an easy experience, was I on a wheel? But yeah, it just works really, really nicely. It feels like you know, the pace advantage does ramp up quite quickly. You know, I don't genuinely believe, sensibly, you could go in with like a bog standard car and beat drivers with like a 200 tech level or something like that. As you can see already now starting to pick up some perks for obviously running clean laps as well there. Now we've kind of got through the prologue. Obviously we're really jumping in to the nitty gritty of it. Of course, you know, I like to believe I'm still a decent F1 game player there. As you can see, that time round I do run into the back of another car, but now, yeah, you're really starting obviously to get into the meat of it, and obviously learning about how and really getting a good showcase of how important the tech level is. You know, like I said, I couldn't go in, I think, sensibly. The skill ceiling for cars I could outpace on the controller was probably about 35, 40 tech levels above myself. And, you know, if I was on a wheel, maybe it was 50. You know, maybe for esports drivers it's 70 or 80. But, you know, it goes from 100 to 1,000. There is a lot of people, you know, if you've got a really high up car, you know, if you've put the grind in, obviously, to get a much quicker car, people that are a lot lower tech level than you are not going to be able to keep up, which I think is quite good there. You know, it's that fine balance, of course, between making it still accessible for people, but also, of course, you know, rewarding those people that have really grinded it out as well, and of course have been able to get their tech level much, much higher than, say, you or I is able to very, very early on in the game there. And of course that adds to the scoreboard that of course you can compare with other people in the world there, and of course means that, you know, if you wanted to run against your mates with, like, say for example you had one guy that had like 1,000 tech level and another guy that was stuck on 300, of course the one with 1,000 can easily bring their car level back down again to race people around, you know, the 300 tech level as well. It's not like once those upgrades are on, they're on for good and you can never race anyone else again. Of course, yeah, coming to the end, though, of this race here from Albert Park, we managed to get all the way up to 6th place there. Did take fastest lap, but no time to catch up to the front runners. I think it was Who Point who won this race there. So, yeah, you can see that time round, we didn't get all the objectives that I wanted. We only got the finish 10th place or better then, so we didn't get access to all the perks I was hoping for. Did of course still pick up driver of the day, but it is not going to be as easy as I think a lot of people were kind of expecting it to be there. And, you know, if you really want to try and beat those high-end AI, it's going to be quite a challenge. I think that, you know, is going to really be good, obviously, for not only, you know, the new fans, but also, of course, the people that are jumping in as well. But getting in then to our final race of the video here from Baku, you can see starting right towards the rear of the field. Once again, I'm pretty certain grids are organised by tech level, so it would be quite nice, you know, if there was an option, of course, for, you know, people to be able to do reverse grids, for example, or something like that, would be very, very exciting as well. You know, it feels like this is the start of potentially something very, very special for the F1 games that not only is, of course, going to allow you guys to do more things, but also as a content creator, allow me to do more things with it as well. And I think that is a really, really exciting opportunity. So, you know, if you've made it almost half an hour in to this video so far, and, you know, you're sort of seeing something that you might want me to try down the line, absolutely let me know down in the comments below. And of course, when we do get access to the full game in just over a week now, F1 23 really has crept around incredibly quickly. Yeah, please do let me know. But yeah, jumping in though to this final race, of course, like I said, here from Azerbaijan, there are some subtle changes to the Baku circuit. My disgusting dive bombs, that was not my finest, I'll be honest. Again, I didn't really get batter on the pad throughout this video. Look at how much they've changed the castle section there. You haven't got the dodgy curb on the inside anymore. That is going to make life a whole lot easier through there. Traction on the exit is still, I mean, it's much better than F1 22, but that was one of the corners I was still struggling with here on F1 23, of course, on the pad. But yeah, of course, Baku has often been a track as well. There is, again, another major change there. The wall on the outside much, much more open. Of course, now, you know, COVID over. Of course, it is allowing EA, of course, to be able to get more accurate scans of different circuits as well. I don't know if a lot of them are laser scans or not, or whether they're just sort of based off GPS data, but it definitely feels like we're getting to a point now where more tracks feel realistic than the ones that don't, which I think is a really good thing as well. You know, it does help with the longevity of the game. You know, I don't think being able to get out and get laser scans of every circuit every single year is ever really going to be possible. But, you know, it's nice to see that they're slowly but surely, of course, you know, every year it feels like you get another sort of few tracks that are going to be a lot better. And, of course, you know, Barcelona as well confirmed that one is going to be the new layout as well, which I'm so excited for, because Barcelona, one of my least favourite tracks to race on the F1 games, mainly because of the actual track design than actually to do with Codemasters. we'll send him to the Shadow Realm, apparently. Pretty much as good driving as the F1 My Team video that I made a few days ago as well there. So my apologies for the driving standards in this one from time to time. You know, it wasn't all bad, but there you can see, actually, in the centre of your screen's bottom left-hand side there, there is that driver perk, of course, for setting that purple final set to 3. And then as obviously we head through, like I said, I think it was 40 seconds or a minute, I got access to that. So obviously by the time we're heading probably through the castle section here, very, very close to destroying the car. You can see it goes orange for a brief moment, just to obviously let you know that power-up is done and dusted then. And it feels like at the moment the power-ups are nice, but not completely overpowered. It's not like, you know, you've got a bullet bill or something like that from Mario Kart. It feels like they have been well thought out and well demonstrated inside the game as well. They're so very, very cool that those little implementations there, of course, have been added, and it feels like, you know, there has been a lot of time behind the scenes. You know, it's not like they've gone, we want to do this feature, we've put it in, we haven't tested it, just deal with it. It does feel like they really have focused on the balancing for it. There is almost sending Jinstead, is his name, into the Shadow Realm once again. There, I'm going for a lot of Shadow Realms as we became more and more comfortable with F1 23 there. But yeah, Williams veteran though at the front of the field. Like I said, I think their tech level was around like 150. So later on in this race, actually, we were trying to close up to them towards the end of this one, but it was not easy. It's coming towards the final lap then of this race. You can see we had got within a second of him, but this is what I mean, of course, about the tech level. Watch as we come out of the final couple of corners on the Delta there. Yes, I don't get the best run in the world. That AI, though, is absolutely pulling away from me. So, clearly, you know, those tech levels do have quite a major effect on the car performance here. And that is really, really cool to see there, because I could not get close enough by the end of this race once again, and it was once more proving that it was quite a challenge there. And you can see once again though, we were able to improve our license level as well, you know, by the generally, it might not look like it to your eye, but the clean driving for the most part, you know, again, when you're at the lower levels, it's more about just trying to obviously increase the tech level and that kind of thing, and obviously prove to the game that you can do clean laps consecutively. Not so much the driving against the AI, but, you know, AI, they are going to be more lenient against rather than, obviously, real-world opponents. And, of course, obviously, you can just disable that as well. You know, if you just want to come home and smash into some AI cars from time to time, you can do that as well there. But unfortunately, that was basically all the footage from F1 World that I was able to capture over the last couple of days there. Once again, I just want to say a massive thank you to EA, you know, for all the support so far on the F1 23 content. We are going to be back very, very soon with a lot more gameplay as well. Of course, like we said, you know, next week, full release of the game as well. So really, really excited for that one. But yeah, let me know all your thoughts and feelings from F1 World. Like I said, this was quite a marathon video, but a good fun, but I wanted to do a bit more of a deep dive as well with F1 World. So thank you all so much for watching, and we will return very, very soon with more F1 23 content. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.